Okay, so let's take a look at example number 9. What we want to do is, first of all, in order to understand what we're seeing with our R value, first thing I want you to do is to graph the data from the scatter plot, from the table onto a scatter plot here. So pause the video, correctly label your X and Y axis, make sure you have a good scale, that everything is labeled, you have titles and labels, and then we'll take a look and see what our graphs look like. Okay, so I went ahead and on my x-axis, in order to fit this, I counted by 2's. My y numbers only went up to 9, so on my y-axis I just counted by 1's. I've got my everything labeled so you can read my graph, and then I just went through and plotted my points, 10, 5, 15, 2, 16, 1, etc. And so my graph looks like this. Part B, do you think that the R value is going to be positive, negative, or 0 when we calculate it for this graph? Okay, the R should be negative. Why? Because there's a negative slope, which means a negative linear correlation. Okay, again, there is a line-ish shape to this graph. It's kind of going in this direction like this. It's not a perfect line, but it is line-ish. That's why I'm not saying that R is going to be 0. Okay, find the value of R by hand. So this is where we need our formula. So the first thing that we have to do is we are going to, if we look at the formula, you can see that we have to get a lot of different sums. We have to get the sum of the x's. So first thing we have to do is we have to record all the x values in our table so we can add them up. So let's go ahead and write them down. Fill in all your x values and all your y values into the table and add them up. Okay, so I've recorded my numbers. I have to add them up. When I add up all the numbers in the x column, I get 103. When I add up all the numbers in the y column, I get 47. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I need to square all the numbers in my x column and record them here. Square all the numbers in my y column, record them here. Go ahead and pause and do that. Okay, so I have squared all of the x numbers. I've squared all of the y numbers. And so now what I need to do is I need to go ahead and add those up. And so if I add up this column, I get 1,347. And if I add up this column, let's see, I get 295. And then the last thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and multiply the x and y column together and record them in this column. Let's go ahead and pause the video and do that. Okay, once I have those in there, then I need to go ahead and I need to go ahead and add those up. And I get 343 for that sum. Oops. Switch pens. 343. Okay, so now what we need to do once we have all of those sums is we need to go ahead and we need to use our formula to come up with our value for R. Okay? So what we're going to do is we are going to take our formula and we're going to fill these numbers in. Okay, so let's see. To find R, R is equal to N. How many data points did we have? is it 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So n is 10 times the sum of x, y. So that's this answer down here. Minus, the formula says the sum of x. So that's this number down here, 103. Times the sum of y. The sum of the y column was 47. Divided by n was 10. The sum of the x squared column, which was 1347, minus the sum of the x column squared. And I take the square root of that number, minus, and then I do the same thing with the y's, n times the sum of the y squared column, which was 295, minus the sum of the y column, which was 47, squared, and I take the square root of that number. Okay, so there's a lot of math going on in here. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video and work this out, and let's make sure that we can both come out to the same value for r. Okay, so first of all, I'm not sure why, but when I was writing this down, I put a minus in here. There's no minus in there. So if you did the work with a minus in there because you were copying me instead of the formula on your note card, please get rid of that minus, and you need to go back and multiply these two together. When you work out the top and you work out the bottom, you end up getting r as negative 0.969. Please don't round as you're going along. Please keep the numbers in your calculator. Use the answer function. Don't round until you get to the final answer. It does tend to push your answer further and further off if you round at each step. So if you're not getting this, take a look at my work here. Go back and put it in your calculator again and see if you can get that value. So let's take a look at our graph. Okay, let's see. Does that work? Did we have a negative correlation? Yes. Was it a fairly strong line? If we drew a line down through here, we would collect most of the points, or they'd be very close to our line, which is why our r value is so close to -1. Okay. Part D says check the value of r by using your graphing calculator function. That will be a separate video that I will post for you on Tuesday, where I'll show you how to use your calculator to get the value of r. E, what does the value of r tell us? Well, it tells us that we have a strong negative linear correlation. Okay, the negative part is obvious, strong because it's near -1, and we are talking about linear correlations. Okay, so I know that there's another example on your paper. If you want to go ahead and work that out, you certainly can do that, and I will let you know what those answers are in a future post. So don't forget that your WebAssign is going to be due for this section on Tuesday night. It does involve drawing scatterplot graphs, and you know that some of your computers are very slow at plotting points. So please don't wait till the last minute to work on your WebAssign.